Hi, my name is Henry Passos, and this is my waste tracking recording. Section 1. The top three categories that were the most prevalent in my waste tracking were plastic, glass, and other items. The top three items that were the most prevalent was cigarettes, plastic food, wrappers, and plastic utensils. During this session of waste tracking, there was no item that I found to be disturbing. The three categories that were the least prevalent in waste tracking was metal, rubber, paper, and lumber. I felt guilty exploring my environment this way because of the overwhelming amount of waste on the sidewalks and streets. This made me realize how lazy people are with properly disposing of their waste when my city has public trash cans for the convenience of the public use. In this session, I did not necessarily meet a particular type of waste that I had a challenge placing into a category. The waste that I found in the waste track session was within the categories that were already in the app. Two possible reasons I found certain waste on my tracking session was people do not care about the environment they live in enough to make an effort to keep it clean and find the convenience of littering trash on the floor to be quicker. To prevent waste to continue from increasing more is to hold a community trash pickup day to pick up all trash. Another way can be to confront people who litter and ask them politely to dispose of their waste more properly. Section 2. The top three categories that were the most prevalent in my waste tracking was plastic, cloth, and glass. The top three items that were the most prevalent in my waste tracking session was cigarettes/cigars, plastic utensils, clothing, and shoes. This second session, there was also no disturbing item that I found to be inappropriate. The three categories that showed the least prevalent during this week of waste tracking was metal, rubber, paper, and lumber. As I explored my environment, I felt good since there was less waste that I found and reported in my waste tracking session this week. The challenge that I met was trying to classify a face mask because it was plastic and not a cloth one. Two possible reasons why certain of the waste I found got there was people tend to chain smoke during the day or night and throw their cigarette tips on the ground and leave it. Over time, cigarette butts can add up and create a dirty environment. Some possible prevention methods to reduce waste can be setting no littering signs throughout the community to raise awareness. Another way of prevention can be to help people to quit smoking cigarettes. By approaching this method, you can also remind them how bad cigarettes can affect their health. Section 3. This waste tracking session was different because there was a superior category that was the most prevalent, and it was plastic. The top three items that were the most prevalent was plastic food wrappers, plastic bags, foam, and plastic cups and plates. There was no item in this waste tracking session that I found to be disturbing because plastic was the most common material. The least three prevalent categories in my waste tracking session was metal, glass, and cloth. Since I have been doing this, I have felt more responsible each time there was more trash of a certain kind of material because that meant people really don't care about cleaning up after themselves. A challenge that I met was trying to figure out which plastic category does the plastic hanger that I found goes in. Since there was no specific category, I placed it under other item. A reason there was more plastic waste is because near my house there is a small plaza that only sells food and uses plastic containers, plastic utensils, and plastic bags. Another reason is the customers that eat in their car often are lazy and will leave their trash on the ground and drive off. To prevent plastic waste, they should replace using plastic waste and switch to a more eco-friendly material like paper or paper utensils. As well, another way to prevent this waste is to charge customers for plastic bags when they do take out because often plastic bags end up on the street, beaches, and even sewer drains. Section 4. The top three categories that were the most prevalent during my waste tracking is plastic, glass, paper, and lumber. The following top three items that were the most prevalent include plastic food wrappers, cigarettes, foam or plastic cups and plates. In this waste tracking session, I did find a condom wrapper which I found to be disturbing because people who use it could have disposed of it properly in a trash can. The three categories that were the least prevalent in my waste tracking was metal, cloth, and fishing gear. Exploring my environment this way allowed me to reflect on my own actions. I sometimes tend to litter when I know I shouldn't, but sometimes the convenience makes things easier. This was my perspective on why people tend to leave certain waste in specific areas. A challenge that I met in this waste tracking session was finding the condom wrapper. It was plastic, but there was no category that fit the description. My solution was to place it under other item category mentioned in my previous waste tracking session. There is a small food plaza and is usually busy with people buying food and eating in their cars and not properly disposing of the trash can afterwards. Another reason for finding certain waste is because there is a CVS close to my house and they sell all types of items like the condoms that people use and often end up on the ground. To help reduce trash waste, the street cleaner comes along every Thursday and Friday and cleans any trash that was left on the street. Another way to control the waste situation is placing signs to signal that there are public trash cans on a sidewalk for people to throw their trash can away correctly. Thank you.